Okay, good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So this is our second week of this subject, geoinformatics for land and water resource, AG 60203. In this today's class, we'll be talking about some basic concepts before we actually start the remote sensing. So foundations of remote sensing, that is what we are going to discuss in this module. So what are the learning objectives here? So learning objectives that are there for us for today's class or this module is actually remote sensing, its definition and the process. What is a remote sensing process, and what is the actually standard definition of remote sensing? Then some basic concepts related with the electromagnetic radiation, spectrum. We'll see what is mean by spectrum, what is EMR. Then some theory related with the black body emission, its emissivity, and how we can use that concept we can connect it with the remote sensing, what you are going to do in this subject. Then atmospheric window, which is again linked with the electromagnetic spectrum. That is also we are going to see in this module. Once we have some basic framework about the electromagnetic spectrum and the properties of atmosphere and how it interacts with the electromagnetic radiation. So basically, we'll be looking at the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with Earth and its atmosphere, the feature of the Earth surface feature, and also the atmosphere. And then we'll be looking at the different types of remote sensing, the passive remote sensing and the active remote sensing. Okay. So, but before that, we are going to see some very basic details about the remote sensing. Okay. Those of you who have joined this course, those of you who have joined this subject, like this is the first class for those of you. This is the again I'm proposing this evaluation policy. So class test will be 50%, which will be according to schedule, which is given on the institute website. Then term project and assignment consists of 20% of the mark, which includes assignment 1, assignment 2. Assignment 2 is actually a semester long assignment. Assignment 2 you have to submit at the end of your classwork, and whereas assignment 1 can be submitted depending on the deadline. Then Viva 20% and attendance around 5 to 10%. Okay, so far what we have seen, in order to collect the data, we either have two approaches. Either we can go to the field and collect the data. So that process is called as the in situ data collection. In situ data collection, although if that data has been recorded properly, or the quantity that is being measured, if the process and methodology is fine, then it gives us more accurate data pertaining to that field. But again, as I said, when we are running hydrological model or any model which are dealing with the spatio-temporal variable, so in that case we not only need data at certain location, but we need data not only at certain location, but we also want the homogeneous data for a constant interval of time. So both the spatial variation should also be covered by that data set, and also the temporal variability should also be covered, and so that it can be used in our modeling purpose. So semi-distributed modeling is also so basically, if you are running any semi-distributed model, you need data at various grid points, and based on that you do the calculation. So that was so we have seen the in situ data collection and what are the challenges, because even if the observer or the person who is recording the observation, he is very keen in taking the observation, but there may be some chances of error, and those error propagates. Suppose the errors may be because of the faulty methods which is being conceptualized while collecting the data. Also, if the instrument is not calibrated properly, that also leads to a source of error. Okay. And then so our approach, as I discussed in the last class, it should be that we have to assimilate data from different sources. So remote sensing, in addition to in situ data, will serve our purpose of land and water resource monitoring. Okay. So remote sensing means sensing the process or phenomena from a distance. So here actually what we are talking about, to collect information about an object or geographic area which is located at a distant vantage point, and that observation can be taken using the instrument, and we call those instrument as a remote sensing instrument. So originally, previously, this was performed using the cameras which were mounted in a suborbital aircraft. So it was a kind of aerial photograph. Aerial photography was more popular, and in fact, remote sensing term was not there. Instead, the photogrammetry was widely popular, and the definition of photogrammetry is given here: the art and science of obtaining reliable measurement by means of photography, which is this definition is given by American Society of Photogrammetry, and the interpretation is defined as the act of examining photographic images for the purpose of identifying objects and judging their significance. Okay, first measurement, measurement, that is photogrammetry, and interpreting those images in order to make some uh, in order to make some judgment out of it, to identify a particular object or make some judgment. That is a photographic interpretation. Remote sensing was formally defined by American Society of Photogrammetry, ASPRS, photogrammetry and remote sensing, ASPRS, as the measurement or acquisition of information of some property of an object or phenomena by a recording device that is not in physical or intimate contact with the object or phenomena which is under study. So that was a standard definition of remote sensing. That definition was further refined in 1988 by ASPRS itself, and they have combined the photogrammetry and remote sensing and proposed that the photogrammetry and remote sensing are art, science, and technology of obtaining reliable information about physical objects and the environment through the process of recording, measuring, and interpreting imageries and digital representation of energy patterns derived from non-contact sensor systems. As I said, the previous definition was insufficient to 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 explain all the operations that we perform using the remote sensing, because when you are inspecting a photographic image, you are just focused on limited bandwidth. You are just targeting the limited bands. Okay, but this is a wider definition in which it is giving the process of recording, measuring, and interpreting imageries and the digital representation of energy patterns which are derived from non-contact sensor system. So this is all remote sensing. Okay, so remote sensing, as the word says, it is made up of remote and sensing. So remote means from far away, not exactly at the physical contact. Okay, so for example, we also perceive reality in our day-to-day life based on our senses. Okay, so normally we have five senses. What are they? They are taste, touch, vision, hear, and what is the fifth one? Smell. Right. Out of those five senses, the touch and taste is actually means we can interpret the object or the thing only by the physical contact, the touch and taste. Whereas the other three form of senses, that is the vision, by looking at the object, by smelling the object, and by hearing the object or phenomena, that can be done remotely. We don't have to be exactly in physical contact with the object which is being observed. So in general sense, we are also doing a remote sensing. So our sensory like so we are doing a remote sensing by looking from our eyes, by hearing the noise, and by smelling what is being cooked in our kitchen whatever the smells which are coming. Okay, so in general, remote sensing, overall remote sensing process can be described as such here, which is shown on the right hand side. First, in the remote sensing, we initiate with the statement of the problem. What is the statement of the problem? What is the phenomena that we are trying to study? Then, in order to study that phenomena, we acquire some data. So we acquire the data. Again, we have the two approaches: in situ data collection and remote sensing data. In situ data means by going to the field, by measuring the variable. So in this case, let's say we are using spectroradiometer. So spectroradiometer along with GPS. So spectroradiometer is an instrument that can be used to study the spectral reflectance of an object. How much reflectance is actually captured by the spectroradiometer that can be measured by this one, and using the GPS. So that falls under the category of in situ measurement. Whereas remote sensing data is by sensing the object remotely, that is a remote sensing. This can be achieved by active remote sensing or passive remote sensing. We'll see what is meant by active and passive in the next class. Okay. Then once the data is acquired, we analyze the data. How do we analyze the data? So we have some intuition. So based on those intuition, and we have some physical basis about that phenomena which is being observed. Based on that, we develop some model. And and using the data that we have. So data analysis consists of visual interpretation, digital image processing, and scientific visualization. Visual interpretation means just by looking at the data, and then digital image processing. So not only so when you capture an image, sometimes or most of the times we have to correct that image, okay, in order to remove the noise, because means raw image cannot be directly used. We have to process that image. Okay, in order to why we need to process that image? We need to process that image so that a meaningful information can be extracted out of it. Here, the meaningful word means the phenomena which is being desired. For example, if you are interested in vegetation reflectance, the state of vegetation, whether it is healthy or deteriorated. Okay, and suppose you have taken a picture and it has some noises are there, so you have to correct the image first and then use it. So image processing techniques, then scientific visualization. Based on the data we have collected, we have run them some model, and we have come to some conclusion, and so that falls under scientific visualization. And once the data analysis is done, we have some knowledge about the phenomena, and based on that we can make some decisive steps. So decision making process can be initiated based on this information. So this is all remote sensing processes. Okay, now coming to the as I said, remote sensing. So as I said, we perceive our reality or surrounding world through our five senses, out of which some senses require contact and some senses does not require contact. For example, touch and taste require the physical contact with the phenomena which is under observation or the object which we are interested in, whereas the sight and the hearing do not require close contact between the object and sensing organs and the external objects. So in a nutshell, we are also doing a remote sensing. Whenever we interpret reality in our mind, okay, either by looking at it or hearing about it, we are running some model in our mind based on the data that our eye and our ear collects. Okay, so in this case, what are the sensors? So we also use sensors. So what are the sensors in this case?
Our eyes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
asking. So when you're talking about the when I say we are also performing remote sensing all the time, whenever we interact with the reality, whenever you move, whenever you see anything, whenever you hear some noise, whenever someone says something, suppose I'm telling this one, so this information is being recorded in your mind, okay, and you are sensing this by by two sensors. One is your eye, another is your ear. And there are some mechanisms are there through which this information is being processed by your body, those two sensors, and some signal is transferred to your brain so that you can make interpretation out of it. Okay, so when I say, for example, if I say that today the temperature is 45 degrees Celsius. Today the temperature is 45 degrees Celsius. So what did you hear? Okay, so when I said today temperature is 35 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Celsius, you heard that today the temperature is 45 degrees Celsius through your ears, and in your mind you have not only recorded this message, but you have interpreted also 45 degrees Celsius. It means it's a hotter period. So I should take care of myself. So based on that information, you have made some judgment. Okay. For example, what you are seeing at your screen is actually how the whatever you are looking at your screen is actually what the light is being reflected, and that light is being sensed through your eyes. Okay, reflected light is being sensed through your eyes. Okay, so my next question is, why do we see object? Can someone answer?
So because of the reflection of light into our eyes.
Okay, so if light is not there,
So if means sir, if light is not there, then we cannot see the object. But if there is some in natural light, then we can see the object.
okay, so what you are saying, that without light there would be no sight, right?
Yes, sir.
So we see the objects, or the object is seen by us because lights falls on it, and depending on the property of that object, that light is being reflected, and that reflected light is received by our sensor, means our eyes, and based on that, in our brain we interpret it is a what kind of object it is. Okay, so without light there would be no sight. So as I said, in our human visual system is also example of remote sensing. So what we are doing by when we are looking at any object, we are actually doing remote sensing. Okay. So for that, we have some special sensors in our eyes. Those we have the cones and rods. Those we can call it as the sensors. Or cells, photosensitive cells. They do like this. This is achieved by those two sensors. The sensors in this example means our human vision are, we have two types of photosensitive cell. Photosensitive means the cells, those are sensitive to the light. Those are photosensitive cells, and those cells are actually cones and rods, and which are located at the retina of the eye. Okay, so as I said, there are two types of cell, cones and rods, and what we see, what we perceive as like as object is actually is because the ability of these cones and the rods, they're well, like because of this functionality of cones and rods, this two cells which are located at the retina, we are able to see the object. So as I said, first is cone. So there are three types of cone, and each of being sensitive to the discrete wavelength. For example, the red, green, and blue. So three types of cone for which are sensitive to the red wavelength, blue wavelength, and green wavelength of visible spectrum. And we have the rods, and the rods are sensitive to the like so like cones are sensitive to the individual spectrum, individual band of a light, visible light. So visible light is made up of is a combination of red, green, blue, starting from, so you might have studied in your high school. So VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Okay, so that is actually your visible spectrum. So whatever color that we see in our day-to-day life, this is all a combination of red, green, and blue. So our eyes have three receptors uh, in order to perceive the intensity of those three bands, red, green, blue, and according to that, the colors appear to us. Okay, so that is done by the cones, which is located in the retina of the eye, and other is actually another sensor is there, that is known as rod, which is actually sensitive to the total light intensity. So suppose in a room, suppose the intensity of light is very low, or the light are dim, so that everything will appear like a shades of some particular color when there is a insufficient light. Okay, or when there is no light, a complete darkness will appear. And as you can see in this animation, when it is close to darkness, you can't see much, you can't see many colors. All are actually some shades of black and gray, right? So together with these cones and these rod sensors located in your retina, we are able to not only perceive the intensity of the color, intensity of the light, but the type of color as well. So colors are being observed using these cones, and rods are sensitive to the uh, intensity of light. So since we are able to perceive images or object through this red, green, and blue, that is why in your television set or whatever the electronic device we build for visualization purpose, for example, the screen of your smartphone or your television screen or computer screen, we try to replicate, we try to represent the data in the form of red, green, and blue. Okay, so the movie that you are seeing in the theater, in order to perceive that movie, the information has to be represented in the shades of red, green, and blue. Okay, so that is why many modern computer displays, many computer display monitors make use of these three primary colors to generate the multiple color of displaying color images. Is there any doubt now? Since our vision is limited, we can only perceive colors as a shade of red, green, and blue. So information that also we use to communicate or to display, that also, or electronic device that also that we create, that also handles these shades of red, green, and blue. Okay, because this is the spectrum which we can interpret. We can interpret the information. We can look at the object if it is under these band shades of red, green, and blue. We cannot observe the microwave. We cannot see. We cannot see the radio wave. Okay, we'll see this again in the electromagnetic spectrum. But for a time being, just remember that we are able to see only the visible light, and the color that appears that appears to us are actually shades of red, green, and blue only. So three primary color, red, green, and blue, and whatever color that we see, these are actually combination of this red, green, and blue. Okay, so here again the same process is explained in more detail. So the visual ability of humans and other animal is the result of complex interaction of light, eyes, and brain. So this is a light source, this is an object, and this is our sensor eye. Okay, so what is happening here? The object, so this is an object which is located. So this object is located far away from the eye. So this is our eye. Hence, the information has to be carried out through some wave. Okay, so here the information carrier is our visible light. So information means what this object is. Depending upon how much light is reflected by this object, based on that only we come to a conclusion that this is a tree, or this is a building, or uh, this is a football. Okay, if there is no light, so we are not able to see. If the light is not being reflected by that object, then we cannot say whether what kind of object is that. Okay, so we need a carrier information carrier. So in this case, that is our visible light. So visible light, so the object, so this object is actually reflecting and scattering the ambient light which is being falling on it. So here again, the source of energy or source of uh, light is sun, which is falling on it. As you said, it can be artificial also, but let's say the normal case, the sun is the main source of energy, and which is supplying light, and some of this ambient light is being scattered and reflected by this object. Now the reflected light is being carried to our eyes by this information carrier or visible light. Okay, so the part of scattered light is being intercepted by our eyes, forming an image on the retina. On our retina, the image will appear. The image will be kind of inverted image. Okay, and there will be some processing involved, central processing unit, and that information will be sent to our brain. Okay, so light falling on the object reflecting or scattering the some portion of that light which is being incident on it, and that light is being captured. Reflected light is being perceived by our sensor eye, and based on the model that our human body has, that object is being visualized in our brain. Okay, so these signals are processed and interpreted at the brain with the aid of previous experience. Okay, so not only, so what brain does actually, so brain also does some so brain collects the information. So when the first time you see the flower, you don't know whether it is flower, means when first time you see an object, a brain records that information and it assigns some tag to it. And once the more time you see different kinds of flowers, brain make some mapping, and it stores that this is a different kind of flower, this is a different kind of flower, this is yellow flower, this is red flower, but this is a flower. So this information is being interpreted with the help of previous experience. Okay, so as I said, once the light reaches our eyes, once the light, reflected light, reaches uh, our brain do some processing. This information is being supplied to the brain by nerves. So based on that, brain makes some interpretation about the what kind of object is there, whether it is moving or static, or what kind of signal it is reflecting back. So based on that, we perceive the information. Okay, for our eyes, it is just image, but for our brain, it is a plant. You understand, right? What is the difference between data and information? What is data?
Raw information which is to be has to be processed.
Yeah. So this object is only giving, it is only reflecting the light. Okay, so this light is being reflected and that is being sensed by our eye. That is our data. Our eyes does not know what it is. Only when that data is being supplied through nerves to our brain, based on the previous information that our brain gather, we come to the conclusion that this may be a flower. Okay, so this is entire process of remote sensing. Okay, so yeah, so this is again the same thing is explained. So solar energy, so visible electromagnetic rays are incident on the object, and our eyes can only see the shades of red, green, and blue. Okay, so yeah, so this is the same thing. So our eyes looking at the object, the actual image, the image which is generated by our eyes inverted, and like our brain perceive that this is a image of flower. Now, how does it happens? Although this is not very much important, this is more related to the biology. But when I'm explaining this, I'm trying you to relate it with the remote sensing or the sensors that are located on a satellite. So sensors also do the same thing. Uh, they sense the energy that is being reflected from different reflected in different wavelength and which is being perceived by the sensor. So we can make the sensors which are capable of capturing that certain wavelength, red, green, blue, near infrared, etc. Okay, so through the theory of how we see the color, I am just relating it with the remote sensing. Okay, so how the eye sees the color. So as I said, this is our anatomy of eye, which is actually we have the pupil. The purpose of pupil is to like pupil opens, and by opening it allows the light to go inside the eye. Iris is actually controls the size of pupil, whether it should be dilated or shrink. That is decided by the iris. Iris controls the size of the pupil and amount of light which is entering the eye. Then we have the lens. Lens change the shape to allow the eye to focus on light. Okay, so lens are actually the main purpose of lens is to focus the light which is being incident, which is being allowed by the pupil and iris, so that the the information can be perceived properly. Then retina. So retina is actually light sensitive lining of the eye. Okay, so this is the wall, and here we have the light sensitive lining on the wall. So this is actually a close up view of this retina. So as I said, we have two types of cell, cone cell and rod cells. So cone cells are actually able to discriminate, or they are able to perceive the red, green, and blue. Okay, so those are the cone cells. So cone cells function best in the bright light, but provided that light is there, we can see the color. If light is not there, we cannot perceive the color. So cone cell perceive the information when sufficient light is there, and from that light, it is able to perceive how much amount of intensity is coming from the red, how much amount of intensity is coming from the green, how much amount of intensity is coming from the blue. Okay, then not only we have the cone cell, we have the rod cells also. So rod cells are actually related with the intensity of light. Okay, suppose the light is very dim, we cannot we just see the shade of one color. Okay, so more sensitive than the cones of dim light. Okay, so once this is collected through the optical nerve, that signal is being sent to the brain in order to interpret that image. So we can say in our human eye, we have three sensors which are able to perceive this, like red, green, and blue, and also not only their color but also the intensity through this rod cells. Okay, now coming to the remote sensing. So again, the definition: the remote sensing is the science of obtaining information about an object, area, or phenomena without any physical contact with the target which is under investigation. Okay. So the process of remote sensing involves making observation, recording the radiation coming from the earth pictures by sensors such as cameras, scanners, and radiometer. In this case, those sensors are inbuilt in our eye, but with the sensors available in our eye, we are only limited to very limited bandwidth. We are only see the shades in red, green, and blue, but that is only a small part of light which is being reflected. If you want to capture more detail, we have to make a dedicated sensors in order to capture those particular wavelength. Okay, so the remote sensing involves making the observations and recording the radiations coming from Earth features by making use of sensors, uh, by sensors such as cameras, scanners, and radiometers. Okay, so this is a in this pictorial form, this whole remote sensing process is being shown. So light is an incident on the object, reflected, sensed by this. So you can see there are three sensors located on this sensor, just for a example purpose. So these three sensors know that how much amount of intensity is reflected in each of these wavelength, and based on that data, that data is like nothing but the like electronic signal that is being transmitted to the data server, which is located at some point on the Earth. And once we do some operation, we come to the data set, and that data set can be used in order to make some decision. Okay, so so the entire process of remote sensing can be explained or can be divided into seven elements. Okay, but mostly remote sensing process involves an interaction between incident radiation and target of interest. I hope you all know what is radiation and what is target of interest. So here incident radiation means how much amount of radiation is falling on the object. Okay, so that is our incident radiation. Okay, so seven elements, as I said, the seven elements are actually shown in this diagram. So first element is actually your source of illumination. What is illumination? Source or illumination? Illuminate.
It illuminates light, sir. It may be natural or artificial.
Yeah. Okay. So source, energy source or illumination. So for example, if you are dealing with the optical remote sensing or passive remote sensing, the sun is actually the source, energy source or illumination. Then second is radiation and atmosphere. B, that is the radiation and atmosphere. C, the interaction with the target. D, recording of energy by the sensor, that is D. E is actually again transmission, reception, and processing. Transmission of this energy or the signal to the station, processing, that is your E, and interpretation and analysis, that is F, and application, the main application of that information that is being perceived, that is the application. So these are the seven elements of remote sensing process. Okay, so how do we explain this? So for example, if you can see that sun is actually the source of energy and it illuminates the light. It illuminates the light, and the energy is being radiated by atomic particles which are located at the source, that is our sun. That energy or that light is being traveled through uh, through this atmosphere. Okay, and we all know atmosphere is made up of multiple gaseous molecule, and multiple things are there. So nitrogen, oxygen, nitrogen molecule, oxygen, water vapor, dust, various forms of gases are there. Okay, so this travels through, yeah. So this is our Earth's atmosphere, but also from sun to Earth it travels through vacuum at the speed of light and interacts with the Earth atmosphere. So the light which is starting from the source travels to the vacuum, reaches to the Earth atmosphere, which is consists of nitrogen, oxygen, and various other types of gases. So because of the presence of these different types of gases and their different properties, that light is being, or that energy is being, uh, we can say it interacts or it get distorted. Distorted may be a word, we can say or influenced by that medium, which is our Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so the light interacts with the Earth's atmosphere, that is being, or the radiation interaction of that radiation with the atmosphere, that is shown with this B. Then C is actually when this radiation interacts with the target. Okay, so different target feature on the Earth's surface, they reflect the light differently. The water body reflect light differently than a plant. A healthy plant reflect light differently than a diseased or deteriorated plant, stress plant. Okay, so every object on an Earth reflect the light differently. So depending on the interaction of this radiation with the Earth's surface, different amount of light will be reflected. So that is being shown by C, interaction with the target. Okay, here the target means the phenomena which we are trying to observe. Suppose if you are working related with the agriculture, so your target may be the crops. If you are working on the water, your target may be the water body. If you are working on air pollution, then your target will be the how much, what is the pollution level. And if you are working on the temperature, temperature will be there. Means like how much amount of heat is being released by that object. Or if you are working on a built up land, okay, so that will be your target. So interaction of the radiation with the target, which is your C. Then again it will interact. So once so depending on the property or the nature of the target, some amount of light will be absorbed, some light will be transmitted, and some will be reflected. Okay, so the reflected light, again it has to go through this atmosphere. So it will be reflecting in all directions. The scattering will take place in all directions. Okay, so again there will be interaction with the Earth's atmosphere, and the amount of the magnitude of radiation or reflectance that is being received by this sensor, the satellite sensor. So sensors are mounted on this satellite, and the purpose of sensor is to record the reflectance which is being received from different Earth object. Okay, so that is your D. Okay, so now the sensors records radiation in the form of electronic signal. Okay, but that is just digital data. Okay, with no information. Okay, so that data can either be directly sent to the Earth, or it can be sent to the other like air station, space station. Again there will be some interaction. Okay, so transmission, reception, and processing involves shown by this E. Okay, once this signal is being received, so this electronic signal when it is received, okay, so here the satellite does not know whether it is object or what it is. It just receives the signal, electrical signal. It does not have any image as well. Okay, so that electric signal will be sent here. Okay, and that will be again interpreted and analysis in order to make some images. And once the interpretations are made, we can come to some conclusion, or we can run some model, our hydrological model, or any other model which we normally use for our decision making. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's have some 7-minute break, and then we'll join again, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay.